Every once in a while, there's somebody on the show who is so cool that the coolness you can actually feel such rubbing off on you. And we have one such gentleman today, Mr. Andy Williams. Just an incomparable voice. Of course you applaud. Who doesn't? He's a great American pop singer. Moon River, of course, the musical gem and the crown of an enviable recording career, and the signature song for his classic three-time Emmy-winning variety show. But now, for the first time in this book, Andy Williams is revealing the man behind the voice in a very candid memoir out today, Moon River and Me.
Moon River, wider than a mile.
His velvety voice was a constant in our living rooms and our hearts for a decade. Throughout the 1960s, the question wasn't who Andy Williams rubbed elbows with. The simpler question was who he didn't.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Andy Williams rose to fame as part of the Williams Brothers, a singing quartet.
Don't fence me in.
By the time The Andy Williams Show debuted in 1962, Williams was a popular solo artist.
I hope your troubles are few.
On his show, Williams introduced America to such up-and-coming stars as the Osmond Brothers, and later, Donnie and Marie.
I'm leaving it all up to you.
He went on to win acclaim as longtime host of the Grammy Awards in the 1970s. The following decade, Ronald Reagan honored him.
Andy Williams, I think we'll have to declare your voice a national treasure.
Now 82, the beloved crooner continues to perform at his theater in Branson, Missouri, where his voice still dazzles. Have to correct the record. Mr. Andy Williams is not 82.
No,
is that right?
please, I'm 81. 81 and a half.
37, as the record clearly states. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Now, this memoir is one of those books that is going to surprise people because everybody looks at you as somebody who is so skilled that you could perform with anyone, and yet in the book, you talk about your father a lot and the belief of something he told you that stays with you to this day. I have to work harder because I'm not as good as the others out there.
That's a terrible thing, I think, for a father to say to a 7-year-old kid, but it was his way of getting us to, my brothers and me, to work more and to practice. But it stuck with me for a long, long time. In fact, I'm just now getting over it a little bit. You know, all these years, because when your father says something like that to you, like you're not as good, I mean, that's what you remember. And so all my life, I've really figured that I really wasn't quite as good as the rest, but I worked hard. You know, and I think that in a way it was good for me because I did work hard.
Well, and also it would seem that the success you've had would play against your own feelings about it, but without giving away too much about the book, you go through and you give little observations that you weren't that comfortable with concerts or appearances, even though you were so telegenic, and that you would question whether or not other performers felt the same way as you did when they went on stage, being doubtful of what would happen. How does that stay with you for so long with all the success?
I don't know. As I say, I think when you're told something like that to a child, it affects you. You know, really, you remember that, whether you want to or not. And but you know, now since I'm in Branson, Missouri, in my own theater, I really enjoy singing. You know, I really enjoy it. I enjoy doing performances. I live down there with my wife, Debbie, 25 years or 20. Well, we've been together 25 years. And I love it down there. I really do.
So now you're comfortable.
Now I'm very comfortable and very happy.
Oh, good. It's good. And it's great that you're sharing with it in the book. Also interesting, you're trying something else new at 81 years of age, political commentary. You're giving an interview about the book, and they wind up making news with you talking about Barack Obama, criticism, that you feel he may want the country to fail. You're taken out of context? What's going on?
Well, that's taken out of context, a lot of it. And it was an interview that I made to a reporter by phone in London. And it just got blown out of proportion. I think Obama is the most charismatic politician that we've seen since John F. Kennedy. And I was a great friend of Robert Kennedy's, voted for many Democratic presidents. I have nothing absolutely against a liberal Democrat. I just think sometimes, like a lot of Americans, that he might be guiding us in the wrong direction. But that's That's just from a singer. It really doesn't mean much.
Well, but no, your opinion means as much as any. People look to you as a voice to be listened to and enjoyed, obviously. Let me ask you something, your perspective. Having been in the business a little while now, how do you feel about today's performers, how they stand up to those of your generation?
I think probably they have just as hard a time as we did when I started. The advantage they have, I think, now over when I first started was they have records. Generally, that's the way they start, on records. And then once they get hit records, then they can go out and play to a larger audience. When I was starting out alone, after my brothers left me, I didn't have a record, and I had to work in really dumb clubs that didn't appreciate what I was doing at all. And it wasn't until I got on the Steve Allen Tonight Show in the 50s, mid-50s, and then got some records. I got a record contract that after Steve went off the Tonight Show, I was able to go out and do some better clubs and and get more television exposure. Television became very easy for me. I love doing television.
You are certainly a natural, and you are now a guide for so many others in terms of seeing what they'd like to achieve. You think there'll be a next Andy Williams show?
I don't know. Right now, they're not buying musical variety shows, as you know, because there's not one on. And I don't know. I think some young cat could come along that sings in a today sort of way that could maybe have a musical variety show and a career.
Listen, if he sings like Andy Williams, I think he'd be in good shape, no matter whether you call him today or tomorrow or a cat or a dog.
Yeah.
Mr. Williams, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you.
It's a great book, Moon River and Me. You can read an excerpt of Mr. Williams' book at abcnews.com/books.